plane pilots when they have abnormal circumstances and you have to land a plane, and those people are just calm. It's like a general. Sullenberg, yeah. He's telling them that he's going to put the plane down in the Hudson River, near this bridge between here and there, and they're telling him, to loop the plane around and bring it back to LaGuardia or whatever. He's like, nope, negative, doing this. So he's got to do the math in his head and calculate his altitude. How much time does he have to maneuver the plane, put it where he wants to, etc. There's a lot of decisions being made there with, his life and a lot of other lives at stake as well. And the guy's just calm. He don't even know if he's going to live, but he's given them, best case scenario instructions of, I want emergency vehicle here. You don't know how it's going to turn out. That calmness under pressure means a lot. And people that can't do that, people that can't control their emotions are really in trouble.
When I met Derek for the first time, I was really stuck and directionless. And one thing I really find refreshing about Derek is that he's one of the most honest coaches that you'll ever meet. He's not about blowing smoke up your ass. He's not going to be for everyone, but he gets results. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm working on the right things. I'm doing all the hard foundational work and looking really deep inside and uncovering blind spots that's been like holding me back and setting me back for a very long time. I see the difference in my self-esteem. I mean, it's going to take a minute. I'm also discovering a difference in the quality of people that I'm allowing into my life, and I'm valuing my time way more. And I'm just so grateful for him and his program, and I wouldn't have been able to get unstuck without him.
I think a lot of things that we're talked about the last few minutes are things that you more or less have in your head already. And I'm kind of saying some of these things to the group more than I'm saying them to you. And I'm kind of giving you an affirmation is like, double down on those things and double down on them again. And I think you'd be a lot happier long term. And it'll cause you little emotions in the short term, and people will judge you for it. So, oh, you're not very forgiving, or oh, you're not this or that. So, well, it's cool, but if you're always building your value, if you're always doing something new, building something, learning something new, creating something new, creating jobs, creating opportunities for other people, the more that you're contributing to other people's lives, the more a lot of people are going to want to hang out with you. And it's going to be better and better quality people. And it's not like you're being a dick. It's not like, some people be like, oh, fucking, he's doing this or that now, so fucking, don't remember where he came from or don't remember this or that. It's like, well, I invited all my friends to come with me. I begged some of my friends to come do things with me. And they laughed at me. Those same kids I grew up with, when I told them I was, I'm going to go get my GED and go to college, they literally laughed at me. And, as a group made fun of me for that. And, if you look back later, the 6 kids I hung out with all the time, so 3 of them are dead now. And one's doing 30 years, and one's doing life in federal prison. And the 6th one is crippled because he's high and drunk at work and got himself fucked up with like a Kubota machine, like a Caterpillar type machine. Yeah. So, and I didn't laugh at any of them, but I begged some of those people to come do, man, just come do this with me, man. Let's go do this thing together. And your path diverges so much, and in like 2 years' time, the person that you asked to be your business partner wouldn't be qualified to be the lowest employee in your company, Wouldn't be qualified for a free internship 2 years later. And that don't mean that you're a bad person, because people are going to judge you for that. If you behave this way, people are going to judge you for that. So, oh, you should be more forgiving. Oh, give them a break. Oh, give them a chance. So, no, fuck that. Fuck that. So any of those stupid thoughts I had in my head when I was younger, I got rid of those a long time ago. So if somebody breaks their word to me, I don't need to talk to that person ever again. The more you betray your values or beliefs to go pander to fit in somewhere, you're going to be more disappointed later. Marcus Aurelius, this is not a new thought. Marcus Aurelius talked about this a couple thousand years ago. Is like, and Cicero also, they both have quotes similar along the lines of, you never want to behave in a way that would hurt your self-esteem or make you doubt yourself as a man, that make you doubt your own word. You start lying to yourself about shit. Really, one more step. When you start lying to other people about shit, you lie into your team, you're lying to people close to you, inherently in that, you're starting to lie to yourself too. And real soon, you're going to be doing a lot of disappointing things. You're going to be living a lot lower lifestyle and have a lot less future potential than what you could have had. And, it take you decades. Buffett talks about this, more Buffett quotes this week. Buffett talks about it take you decades to build a good reputation and, one wrong decision over a couple minutes to fuck it all up. So you just don't want to do those things. The people in this room that follow that advice the closest are going to have the most money, the highest quality friendships with their guys, the largest abundance of women, and the highest quality women, and they're going to live a pretty carefree life. And the people that want to deviate from that because they're having a moment of weakness and they want to do some make a little bitch-ass rationalization or bitch-ass exception and say, oh, I'll do it later, or oh, just this one time. Yeah, I remind myself that, and this is a theme that I've mentioned a couple times, but I remind myself I'll probably be dead sooner than I'd like to. And my goals are more important to me than a little bit of sleep. So some people, I know all the sleep science. Somebody here, despite me saying that, they're going to criticize it and say, oh, but Derek, it's, you got to sleep, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever bullshit. And I think Arnold Schwarzenegger had a great talk about that. And he says, you sleep 6 hours a day, you got 18 productive hours left. He's like, yeah, I know. Some people say sleep 8 hours. Is it? No, sleep 6 hours, just sleep faster. Get all your sleep, just sleep faster. And, the way that I think about it, branching off that Arnold thing or merging two thoughts together is, rich people, poor people, smart people, dumb people, everybody gets 168 hours in their week. And the people that are most efficient, as a good scientist, you know things about efficiency that I'll never know. But you'll get the general idea, and more. The people that are most efficient with their energy are going to have the best outcomes, aren't they? And the people that fuck around and procrastinate and make excuses and so on, it's like evolution doesn't favor those people so well, do they? So, evolution doesn't favor inefficiency. So the people that are going to be more focused and more rational and more logical and less agreeable with the general public of idiocy, they're going to have better outcomes. It doesn't mean you have to be mean. I don't think of myself as a mean person. People that know me well they tend to say nice things about me, But I don't want to waste any time with people that aren't taking their own life serious. You can't be committed to help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. You're the fool, not them. And same with women, with family, with whatever. Women, family, whatever. So I don't know. You get 168 hours, and I don't know a lot of. Certainly in your lifetime to accomplish some of the things you've done already. There were certainly some nights that you were awake for 20, 25 hours working on some goals because your goals were more important than taking a little nap at that moment, And the people that do that are going to have better outcomes. And the people that are unwilling to do that or, they want an appeal to authority, an appeal to the government or an appeal to a union or some shit that, oh, this is inhumane or they're asking too much of me to. Not only do they want me to show up for work for 8 hours, but they actually want me to work 6 out of 8. They're only paying me for 8 hours. They want me to work for 6. We should only work for 3 or so, like in France. So, France is a has-been country because you hire somebody in France, you're basically married to that person. It takes you 2 years to get rid of them. It takes you 2 years to get rid of an employee. They get paid for 8 hours. They work for 3 hours. And, everything that comes out of there is expensive. And unless you have some niche bullshit like a Chanel bag or some high fashion niche bullshit that had a great marketing campaign behind it, you can't produce anything competitively there. So, I think I don't like hiring union people. I don't hire union people for anything. I would never. I pay people that work with me, I pay them very well, actually. Like a lot more than you might think that I would. But I also tell them that, if you work with me, you're going to be available every day of the year. This year is leap year, so we're 366 days. I tell them you keep your ringer on you can have the ringer off on your phone except for my phone number. If I call you or text you, you're available 24 hours a day, every day of the year. And I don't say this, I'm not saying it as a bit of a joke. I'm not saying it as 1% of a joke. It's like, that's the conversation that we're going to have. And I'll tell them, you know, I might spend an hour or two telling them all the reasons that they're going to find me annoying, they're going to get fatigued by that type of a schedule, they're going to not like me for this or that reason. You know, I'd like to tell them ahead of time everything that they're going to hate about it. And I'd like to tell them, you know, anybody new that I'd bring around, like an assistant or somebody that I might be paying later, I'd like to tell them, I'd like the other team members to tell them everything they're going to learn to hate about me. You know, and you know what? Anybody that I ask to do that, they always say yes, by the way. Because if I didn't have a good read on them that they were that type of person, I would have invited them to do shit anyway. So, and they always thank me later, and they say it was very useful to them. So, you know, what do they get out of that? Well, you know, probably pay them twice as much as I'd have to pay a normal person. But when you find an exceptional person, they'll get done 3 times as much work. So it's a bargain for both of us. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it twice. I probably pay them 2 or 3 times as much as they'd make in a normal job market. But I'd probably get 3 or 5 times the productivity out of those people. You know, and you know, I can be myself and live the way that I want to. You got to hold yourself to that same standard. I do stuff every day of the year. You know, I might work 6 hours some days instead of 14, but I do stuff every day of the year, and I don't think anything will work in 100 hours, and I don't even have to anymore. Which is, you know, you might say is irrational in some ways, but I'm addicted to that process, and I like it, and I still have a few goals, and I'm going to spend a few more years doing that, you know? So, I don't know, just find people that are compatible with that. I wouldn't date a girl that didn't understand, you know, math decently. She doesn't have to be a fucking math wizard, dude. But, you know, if she didn't understand, like, you know, basic statistics, geometry, if we couldn't talk about the world, you know, you'd like to be able to talk about the world while you're out doing something together, you know? So it'd be great if she understood some basic statistics, geometry, you know, probabilities, you know, fundamentals of finance, accounting, econ. So we could talk about some of those things together, or, you know, make decisions, or hell, I'll have a fucking girl staying up late with me. My girl at home, you know, she'll be staying up, you know, 10 in the morning or noon. Back in March and April, she'd be up all night with me, you know, like pre-screening financial statements for me. You know, tell me your thoughts about this. You know, look at these 10 companies. Give me your 3 favorites. You know, she's here, you know, up all night, drinking coffee at 5 in the morning, because she'd been up all night to look at another stack of financial statements before we go to bed for 3 hours. So, and then wake up and do it again. So, I don't know. I don't want to live a normal life. And I think anybody that, if you want to have abnormally good outcomes, you're going to engage in some abnormal behaviors. A person that wants to do what normal people do and then fantasize about extraordinary outcomes it's a total delusion, you know? So, you know, whatever your version of that, you'd have different taste and preferences, but, you know, similar structure in your head, but different taste and preferences on how to apply that. But, you know, the people, you know, I had put a post on Instagram a week or so ago of like, you know, don't be mad about the results you didn't get with the work that you didn't do. So when somebody's, oh, that's not fair, or these people, you know, these idiots that complain about the evil 1%, like there's something bad about people that were, you know, more industrious, or, you know, I'm not Elon Musk's biggest fan, nor does he give a shit. You have no idea who I am. But, you know, even Elon says that, well, you know, you got to work 100 hours a week. A guy that's working 50 hours a week versus 100 hours a week, even if he's a total idiot, he's still making twice as much money in the short term, and he's learning little nuanced things that would make him more valuable in the long term. So, and if you think about that in terms of a savings rate, it's like a person's fixed expenses, or, you know, base expenses for food, shelter, etc. You know, if your first 50 hours a week, you know, 80% of that money is going to pay for those base expenses. If you just doubled your workload, you wouldn't double your savings. You would 6x your savings. You know, and then the person that's willing to do that early in life, you understand exponentiality and the compounding that happens. That a person that gets a good base of money early and starts compounding that in markets, you have pretty extraordinary outcomes. You know, it doesn't have to be working later. So I guess just one more thought about in this vein is I had a thought in my head. I don't know. I was still a teenager. I don't know, when 14, 15, 16 years old. I thought, you know, if you really worked your ass off, It's like, if you did nothing but work, if you obsessively worked for 10, 15 years, probably 12, 15 years, if a person was willing to do that early in life, I think you could do whatever the hell you want to do with the rest of your life. And then there's what the bulk of people do is they do not much during that time period, and then they wake up around 30. Instead of being retired around 30, they start to pay attention around 30 and realize how far they are behind the people that were behaving differently, that were staying up late to get good grades to go to a good graduate school, or so on and so on, as you would have. So I don't know. I don't have any. They shouldn't be upset about the results they didn't get for the work they didn't do. So I don't have any sympathy. And I grew up. It was a sufficient level of poverty that I have zero sympathy. I have none. I have much less sympathy than a normal person for these sad stories of, he grew up poor, or he had this or that challenge. I just think it's the most pathetic shit. It's like, if you wanted something, what I think? I think it's that's like it's not even half a man. It's not even half of the determination that I had to go do better. I don't have when I hear those type of things, when people say that, but I got a great excuse. Well, your excuses don't really help you accomplish your goals so much. So you could have your excuses, or you could have the outcomes, and the people that dwell on the excuses don't tend to be the people that get the outcomes, do they? Imagine a fucking astronaut. You might know the story of, I don't know the names, I don't know the right mission, but I think it's the first landing on the moon, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I may well be wrong. I'm probably wrong about a couple of my facts. Please correct me. But there's a story where they have 30 seconds or so of fuel, and they're on the dark side of the moon, and they've lost communication with Houston, I believe. And the guy has to take the thing off of autopilot because the thing wants to land on a rocky spot. He's got 40-some seconds of fuel, I think it is. The plane or the capsule wants to land on a rocky spot where they can't land, and he has to make an executive decision, take it off autopilot, take manual control of this rickety thing that's less powerful than an iPhone, and then go land it by yourself. You know the story I'm talking about?
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but I don't know.
No. Is that a good time for him to have excuses? Think of all the great excuses. Think of all the great excuses he could have had for, hey, the autopilot didn't work, now we're all dead. You have your excuses, or you could be like, the people get paid an extraordinary premium to put their little fucking excuses away and just be, we're doing this now. But there's no playbook. But this is not in my job description. So all those bitch-ass excuses of, it's not in my job description, or, nobody told me what to do. It's not my fault. When you hear an idiot, it's like the hallmark of an idiot when they start saying things like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's like a deferment to authority that, they're just some little weak little child, a weak little baby that doesn't want to take responsibility for their outcomes. When I hear that shit, it's not my fault, because my brain just turns off immediately. I just want to be far away. Yeah. When you listen to, I've had the luxury, and you could go hear these on YouTube probably, but I've heard a few plane pilots, commercial airline pilots, when they have abnormal circumstances and you have to land a plane, and those people are just calm. It's like a general. It's just a calm logic. You hear the one from, what's his name, from that New York incident 10 years ago? Sullenberg, yeah. And, if you listen, you go listen to that on YouTube. It's a couple minutes, And the crux of it, I haven't heard it for years, but the essence of it is he's telling them that he's going to put the plane down in the Hudson River, be near this bridge between here and there, send emergency vehicles to this spot. And he's anticipating, well navigating that plane. He's telling them very calmly and clearly, and they're telling him, to loop the plane around and bring it back to LaGuardia or whatever. And he's like, nope, negative, doing this. And it doesn't have enough fuel, et cetera, or doesn't have enough altitude. He's got to do the math. And I'm sure you're a great math guy, or you wouldn't be in your profession. So he's got to do the math in his head and calculate his altitude, what the cruise rate, of a falling object is with the altitude that he had, and how that thing's going to maneuver, not in a textbook, but in real life, given the circumstances he has on the ground in real life at that moment. How much time does he have to to maneuver the plane, put it where he wants to, etc. There's a lot of decisions being made there with, his life and a lot of other lives at stake as well. And the guy's just calm, He just, boom, no, we're doing this. And he's just giving them instructions of, he don't even know if he's going to live. But he's given them, best case scenario instructions of, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I want emergency vehicle here, there, but. We're going to end up approximately there. And, you don't know how it's going to turn out. But he's making the best of it while giving those instructions. And, that calmness under pressure means a lot. And people that can't do that, people that can't control their emotions are really in trouble. I was in a plane once, it made the news, and, I probably had 700 flights or so, at this point in my life. And I had two of them that once I was, above the Titanic, more or less, over the Atlantic Ocean. And I remember from the movies that, the water is probably 34, 35 degrees at that time of year, just like the Titanic. So I knew even if the plane didn't work out, I knew what I had to look forward to. If you managed to survive, that you're probably going to die anyway. But yeah, there's not worth the whole story, but there's serious plane malfunction that I thought, I guess this is it. And so that wasn't much fun. Different one made the news was I was flying to LAX, and they couldn't get the landing gear down on the plane. And then they put you in a holding pattern to try to work on the landing gear. So you fly in a big oval, hoping you get to land at LAX sometime today. And, about 100, 110 minutes, something like that into this, they just make an announcement. They try to be as calm as they can. And they try to tell you about, they use words like emergency landing and how to brace yourself, blah, blah, blah. And when they get to the facts, which they never should have said, they shouldn't have said this to the public. But I understood what they were saying anyway, but they shouldn't have said it to the public because what caused the panic is, and I don't know what their procedure is supposed to be, but again, I don't think they should have said this. But they said that the plane has no more fuel and that they have no choice but to take the plane down, and so on. So. And at that point, the people gasp, just like there's an emotion here, but in real life, when you're doing it, the people gasp, and the 55-year-old guy next to you starts crying, and I thought to myself, I was very calm. I had, now earlier in life, I'd been stabbed, I'd been held at gunpoint several times. I had some other experiences that maybe prepped me to be calm under some of these circumstances, but I was always very calm about those type of things, and it helped me a lot. It really helped me a lot. And it's nothing more than just keeping your rationality at a time when most people wouldn't, But I thought the worst part of that, I said, we'll see how this turns out. And they did get the landing gear down eventually. They had some last ditch effort, mechanical crank system that finally worked, I guess. And but that was a very last minute situation. It made national news that day that my friends back in Chicago were watching it, and I'm like, I was on that plane earlier.
If you didn't like this video, please feel free to unfollow. My clients and I celebrate when the wrong person leaves our lives. But if you did like this video, if you're a person that's dedicated to success, dedicated to a better life, make sure you like and subscribe. I have a lot more to share with you. I look forward to seeing you at one of my live events in the future, or as a client on one of my paid mentoring programs.